Hello, hello, hello. It's Toria Howard, the real estate educator, here to educate you. Happy to be here once again. I wanted to come today. It's Monday, and I usually drop a video, but I wanted to go live today. So I wanted to make sure that I'm giving you what I did last night and about last night. I did a masterclass last night showing people, the ins and outs and things of that nature on how to successfully be a homeowner. So I wanted to go back and share that back with you all as well, as I recap what I did last night. So if you don't know, I did a Zoom meeting last night teaching about real estate, and it was great showing people, the ins and outs and the do's and the things that they need to do in order to, be a successful homeowner. You know, you can be a homeowner and, not be successful at being a homeowner. So, you know, you always have to make sure that you're doing all that you can do, to educate people. So this is what I'm doing today. So if you missed my masterclass, you missed a lot. But I'm about to give you the highlights and why the information can change how you think about home ownership. So who is planning on being a homeowner this year, next year? Drop me in the comments. And if you were watching the replay, let me know. So I always tell my story. So I didn't lose my home because I was irresponsible. I lost it because I didn't understand how financial literacy, real estate, and all of that comes together. I didn't understand that. And I didn't grow with my home. I didn't, I just lived in it. I didn't use my home as an investment. I didn't use it to build generational wealth. I bought a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom home in Memphis, Tennessee when I was living there. I'm in Detroit. That's where I'm from. So what up, do I, Detroit people? And I was a homeowner for 10 years and I did not do all of the things that I'm teaching everybody to do now because I had learned it the hard way. And I ended up having to sell my home in a short sale because I fell behind in my mortgage and the maintenance became too much because I didn't keep up with it. And when you sell your home in a short sale, everybody gets paid but you. And it's devastating to give up something that you worked so hard for and then watch it grow astronomically and how much money you left on the table. So I bought my home for 150,000. I sold it for 167,000. About time I moved back to Detroit, it was at 325,000. So I left like 200, almost $200,000 on the table. If not, if I would have been smart with it, I would have had that mortgage paid off and probably would have profited majority of that. So I'm teaching people how not to make that same hard money uh, mistake, I should say, or learn that hard money lesson because it can be devastating. And I don't want other people to have to experience any of that. So a lot of people think that the mortgage is the top priority. It's the only cost, but it's not. You have repairs, you have property taxes, you have maintenance. So you should always have, you know, you should always have a vision for your home, right? So repairs are going to be there. You should always be looking at your home quarterly or even monthly to just check on things, especially if the weather changes a lot drastically, like we have in Michigan. So a lot of times, you get a lot of rain or snow or water, resting on your roof. Like here, we had a lot of snowfall this year, and it's melting. It's accumulating again. It's melting again. And if you have trees over your roof, this is just an example, your roof is not breathing, there could be some roof damage that you don't know. So you should be, every time there's a defrost and there's going to be a steady defrost, you should always check your roof. So that is something that you should always keep up with. It's just like with your car, you get oil changes, you get tune ups, if you got an electric car, I don't know what the maintenance is on that, but gotta, I know you gotta recharge the battery, or change out the battery, whatever the case may be. The same way that you take care of your cars, the same way you have to take care of your home. You have to do quarterly type of maintenance. Typically, with an oil change, you get that every 3 months if you do the typical 12,000 miles a year. And the same thing goes with that. So with your repairs, you should always be looking at that. And also you should be, making sure that you have a home warranty for those repairs. Always have a home warranty. Always, always, always. That will help combat that. And then the property taxes. Now, your property taxes is tied into your mortgage with your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, but that can go up. If your home value goes up, your property taxes go up. So you need to know how to navigate through that so that you can understand, like if you're in an area, you need to know your appreciation value and how that's going to grow year on year. Like some places here in Detroit have been moving 7 to 12% of appreciation, but I just posted today 48221 moved 16.5% in appreciation. So imagine those people in that neighborhood and they're increasing their taxes. So you need to make sure that you're knowing your market. And then as far as maintenance is concerned, you should always have something that you're doing, like I said, quarterly. You should always be looking at, cracks in your driveway, making sure your plumbing lines are, snaked out, making sure that, your HVAC is, especially when you're switching over from heat to cool, make sure those lines are, free and clear and it's cleaned off and, it's working properly. You can get somebody to come out just to check that. And if you have a home warranty, it might be a part of that. Making sure your roof is intact, making sure you're pruning your trees and getting, termites is a thing here too, because it is like that in Memphis. But making sure that you're pruning your bushes and things, and then they're keeping water and moisture away from your home, making sure that your basements are, sealed and secure, and all of these different types of things. So all of that is just a checklist that you do. What are you doing when the seasons change? Even if you do it twice a year, I would say check on your home quarterly. You know, the first quarter of the year, second quarter of the year, third quarter, fourth quarter. Especially when the seasons change, because this is where a lot of people feel the pressure when owning a home is the repairs, the taxes, and the maintenance. So another thing is, the bank qualifies you for the loan, but not your lifestyle. A lot of people have champagne taste with a beer budget. And, a lot of times people want more than they can afford. And a lot of times the mortgage company will approve you for, amount that's based on your gross income, not your net. And you need to understand, what is your number? Because you don't want to be house poor. You don't want to be exuding every single amount of your money to your home, and you cannot live. Especially if you have children, if you need self-care, you got to, get your hair done, get your, haircut, nails done, massage, whatever it is that you feel like you enjoy in life, because we work for a living. You need to be able to keep up with those things. So you need to have your number, and your budget before you buy is so essential. So you need to make sure that you are looking at every part of your budget, looking at your bank statements, and not just doing it off the top of your head, looking at your bank statements and saying, hey, this is where I'm spending here, this is where I'm spending there, and I need to make sure that I'm, what can I cut back or whatever. You need to look at those subscriptions that's coming out. So know your number. If you know right now you're paying $1,800 a month plus utilities, is that comfortable for you? Or would you rather be paying $1,600 and that's including your principal, taxes, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your PITI, your 1% rule, your maintenance rule, and your utilities? Because you have to live by a rule, right? So whatever that is, 50-20, 50-30-20, where 50% of your home, your 50% of your income is going towards your expenses to live, 30% is lifestyle, and 20% is investing. Or if it's an 80-20 rule, 70-30 rule, whatever that looks like for you, you have to come up with something that you live by. Because if you don't, then, you know, it's going to eat you up, and you're going to get excited, and you're going to be in over your head, and you get underwater. You don't want that. The other thing is the 1% rule. I kind of went into that. You need to make sure that you are saving 1% of your home's, you first buy your home's price, or your purchase price, or your home's value once you get in, because your home value is going to go up, so you're going to have to take that up a notch. So for instance, if you buy a home for 200,000, you should have $2,000 saved in a high yield and savings account, separate from anything else, for maintenance and repairs, and making sure you're keeping up with your home warranty, and you keeping up with your homeowner's insurance. But that's going to be included in your mortgage. But your home warranty, making sure that you are reading what your home warranty covers, and making sure you're getting the coverages that you need, making sure your homeowner's insurance is giving you the coverage that you need. Especially, we live in Detroit, so you have we icy, right? You got the minks and all of that. If you have all of that stuff, that's a separate rider. That's not if something happens to your home, that's not in a regular homeowner's policy. So that's under a luxury item. So you need to make sure that you will have those insurances. You might need mortgage insurance. That helps people, when something happens to you, especially life insurance, period. But mortgage insurance is definitely something that you do when you know that you have a family, and you don't want them to have to pay for the mortgage. One, it pays it off. So it's so many different. And if you need flood insurance, depending on where you live. I know in Memphis you need flood and earthquake insurance. Like, you want to be protected, even though you might have it might be an expense, but you still want to be protected. So that 1% rule is just after that. So if $2,000 a year might sound like a lot, but if you break it down per month, it's $166 a month, or $167 a month. You can find that money somewhere. I'm just saying. Your home should make you wealthy and not be a stress. That's what it boils down to. If you can't afford the maintenance, the home is becoming too stressful. You don't want to do that. And then the next thing is understanding your equity equals wealth, right? So what is equity? Equity is how much you owe versus how much your home is worth. And it's that money that's in between. So say for instance, you own a home, I like 200,000. So $200,000 is what your home is worth, but you only owe 100,000. $100,000 is your equity that's in between those two numbers. So you can take that money out and do things that's going to, acquire you to, you know, get you some assets, hopefully. You should never take that money and do anything that's going to not give you an ROI. Some people do take, you don't even have to take the whole thing. Some people take it to pay off debt. You have high credit card debt. This is money you have to pay back. So that's why I said you need to make sure that whatever you're using it for, it's going to give you an ROI. Some people use it to improve their home if they know it's their forever home. Or if they're about to sell it and they want to improve and they know they can get a higher number. Some people use it to invest in the stock market. Some people use it to buy other real estate. Some people use it to start a business. Whatever that is, you want to make sure that you have that equity built in. So if you buy right, just for example, one of my clients, she bought right. And she has built-in equity. She bought a home for $105,000. There's a comp in her neighborhood for $185,000. So she's done improvements on her home already. So her home value has already improved. She's painted, she's put down floors, she's done some things. So she bought into equity. And now, once she does finish all her improvements, her home is going to be worth way more than what she paid for it, and she's going to have that. And then on top of that, she bought in an area that's increasing. That's definitely increasing. So that is something that you want to do. When you want the equity, you have to buy right. You want to buy in areas that are at least getting the 1% to 5% appreciation year on year. But if you're moving into Detroit area, you can get appreciation from 7 to 12%, sometimes 20%. Like I said, 48221 went up in value 16.5% from last year. Now your taxes are going to go up, but your equity has increased. So you got to learn how to use that to combat that. But if you understand how your numbers work, That won't be a problem at all. So your home should make you wealthy, not stressed. I got to emphasize that enough. People keep telling, we keep hearing this noise about how your home doesn't make you money, how it's a liability. But all of these people have homes. They're not living in apartments. So why are they talking other people out of it? Because they want you to pay them. They're landlords. So you need to make sure that you're understanding that you can build wealthy with your own home. You just have to have a financial strategy. And this is what I taught in my masterclass. So, and this is what most people don't learn until it's too late. Like me, I learned it too late. I had already, was frustrated with my home. It was too many repairs. I didn't want to do anything else with it. And I just sold it off of impulse. And I should have kept my house. I should have kept my house because I would have been in the money. And I would have known what to do with it. Now that I had the financial literacy, I would have known what to do with it. So this is exactly why I wrote my book, Keys to Your Castle. So my light giving it a glare. But it's a workbook style book. Okay. It has that you can write in it, you know. It's all that. And plus, if you get it, you can scan a QR code. And if you need credit repair letters, I have those for you. If you need charts, I created spreadsheets. I have one that shows you how to understand what you qualify for based on your lifestyle. I created that. So you can put all your numbers in and it'll spit you back out like what you can afford and what you're looking for when you go to the lender. So if the lender try to give you more, this is where you want to stay, you know your number. I've created charts for, how to, calculate, your appreciation and maintenance, all of the things. So I couldn't put that in here and I wanted that to be digital. So it's a QR code that's in the back and you just scan it and you get all of that resource too that I created for you. So Keys to Your Castle is up for a pre-sale. So I'm gonna drop that link in the description section. And definitely get your book because it is powerful, impactful. I go from concept to mindset because your mindset has to change. Goal setting, uh, credit process. If you don't want to pay anybody to do your credit for you, I have those tools in you for you to use. And if you know what if you're ready, it tells you how to talk to realtors, lenders, and how the inspection process or the appraisal process. All of that is in here. So get your book, Keys to Your Castle. So you don't have to start over. You just have to start from where you are. And it does not matter how old you are. I just saw somebody that was 70 years old just bought their first home. It does not matter. It don't matter how young you are. You can get into this real estate game. If you have a job and it's so much money out here and you've been working for at least 2 years, you can buy a home. So tap in with me if you're in Michigan, especially in Detroit and the surrounding areas. I would love to assist. Have an amazing day and thank you for tuning in. And give me some love, give me some likes, some comments, and share with anybody you feel that needs this knowledge.